Every year, all Northeastern University faculty and staff must fill out an annual disclosure. That's because all organizations need a system to identify whether their employees might have interests, relationships, or engagements that could conflict with their job responsibilities. What exactly is a conflict? It's a financial or other consideration, such as personal or family relationships, that may compromise or appear to compromise an employee's ability to carry out their responsibilities to Northeastern. Our Code of Ethical Conduct provides that all members of the Northeastern community, from officers to volunteers, are expected to avoid actions or engagements that are in conflict with their position, or that create the appearance of a conflict of interest between personal and/or external interests and the interests of Northeastern. There are 3 other policies that address conflicts of interest. Northeastern's policy on conflicts of interest that applies to all faculty and staff, the faculty policy on conflict of interest and commitment that's in the faculty handbook, and policies on objectivity in research, financial conflicts of interest, and other conflict of interest requirements for investigators receiving extramurally funded grants and contracts. Are all conflicts prohibited? No. When a conflict is identified and reported, the university determines whether and how the conflict can be avoided or managed. For example, when an employee has an ownership interest in a potential vendor for a service or product, rather than have that employee be the decision maker for choosing a vendor, Northeastern might require that a different, disinterested employee or employee committee select the vendor who will get the contract. The conflict still theoretically exists, but Northeastern has designed a way to manage the conflict so that it doesn't undermine the integrity of the decision. So what happens after we all fill out the annual questionnaire? If any information on a disclosure indicates a potential conflict, the report is referred to a supervisor for staff or the associate dean for faculty. Staff from the compliance department work with you and the supervisor or associate dean to work out how the conflict will be addressed. Sometimes there's a quick determination that the potential conflict doesn't present a problem. For example, a faculty member's service on advisory committees or review panels for government entities, or service on the editorial board of a journal in the field of the faculty member's appointment. Or it may be that the conflict is easily avoidable. The employee won't sit on the committee that decides which vendor to pick if the employee's spouse's company is bidding for the business. In some cases, though, there will need to be a written plan, a Conflict Management Assessment Plan, or CMAP, on how the conflict will be managed. For example, if an employee startup company licenses university intellectual property or employs Northeastern students or other Northeastern employees, or uses university resources such as lab space or equipment, then a CMAP will be required to manage the conflict. Similarly, a CMAP may be required if a faculty member proposes to spend more than 20% time on compensated outside professional activities during the usual 5-day week of the full-time faculty member's contract period. That's a lot to manage. How are we doing it now? The annual disclosure process provides an automated way for carrying out our responsibilities under NU policies. Employees complete a static annual electronic disclosure form, reporting on last year's information. Then the compliance department receives all the electronic forms and manually creates and manages any reports, ongoing communications, and processing of lists by department and college of any conflicts. Compliance sends reports to unit heads and college associate deans. Where needed, compliance, the PI, and college associate deans of finance or research, consulting with the Center for Research Innovation and research compliance, within Northeastern University Research Enterprise Services, or NURES, work through the information to create management plans using different tools like Excel, Outlook, email, paper. When there are questions in connection with submission of research proposals, compliance manually pulls information from the PI's last disclosure form. What are the challenges of this existing process? Well, annual disclosure forms have to be manually recreated every year. There's a significant time lapse between data collection and review, could be months. The data is not accessible and searchable. The data collected is retrospective only, not real-time data. Everything is reported from the previous year. There is no mechanism to update the disclosure if things change during the year. And a manual process is required to generate reports and/or update the disclosure information in connection with applying for a new grant. What did we do about it? Northeastern University's Compliance Department, the Office of the General Counsel, and NURES collaborated to design an automated, real-time, accurate and flexible system that enhances the university's ability to manage potential conflicts within a wide range of critical functions. The result is eCD, a new electronic conflicts disclosure system. What's different about eCD? Users can call up and resubmit their last year's answers if there have been no changes. It gives more control to faculty and staff over the conflict reporting process. It's role-based, searchable, and accessible to users and to NURES. Employees can monitor their disclosure as it is reviewed in the workflow, and it facilitates a more efficient grant proposal process. The most current information is immediately available to NURES for just-in-time compliance verification reviews. What if you have a change of interest during the year? That's the best part. With eCD, data collection is in real time. That means users can call up last year's report to provide updates on current activities and financial interests all year round. You can add interests or report changes as they happen. And with eCD, if you have a question or want a consultation on any potential conflict, you will be able to submit a question or request a consultation via eCD. It's that easy. Okay, if you're excited about eCD, how will you access it? Starting in spring 2019, you will complete your disclosure in the eCD application. You'll receive a link to that in the annual email you get announcing the deadline for filing this year's disclosure report. Thanks to the collaboration of Compliance, OGC, and NURES, eCD will make your COI disclosures much easier. Here's where to go if you have any questions about eCD.